Welcome, guys. This is Wise Nerd, and today in Nerds on a Quest, we're gonna talk about Avengers Endgame. So, let's begin. Awesome, amazing, marvelous. These are the adjectives that come to my mind when I describe this movie. Personally, I love the way Avengers Endgame elevates the superhero movie genre to a whole new level. The writing, the camera, the scenarios, and almost everything is just a pure expression of what a superhero movie should be. And I love how the directors and writers ended the character arc of the original MCU Avengers. Even though the logic writing in this movie isn't as good as other movies that include things like relativity, time travel, quantum physics, and other crazy scientific stuff, in this movie you don't really care about it because the story in general and the character arcs are so compelling that the logic writing and science can be ignored in the whole movie because what matters is the fate of each character. This movie focuses a lot in their main characters that are Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Hulk, the original Avengers. The writers focus on the culmination of their character arcs, or at least this is the case of Iron Man, Cap, and Black Widow. Let's begin with Tony's character arc. In the first Iron Man movie, you get a Tony Stark that is an empty man that just cares about himself, and when he's kidnapped by the terrorists, he creates the suit and then he becomes Iron Man. But he doesn't want to accept that because he thinks that when he's not wearing the suit, he's the empty troubled man. But when he has the suit, he's the hero, and you can see that conflict between the three Iron Man movies. But those movies leave Iron Man's arc without a closure. I mean, Tony becomes a little more humble and he becomes a hero willingly, but in this movie, Iron Man and Tony Stark are the same. And that happens exactly when he finds his dad in the past, when he's going to get the Tesseract and there's a closure in the conflict between Tony and his dad. That there's a phrase where Tony's dad says one of the things that I regret is that I put my interests above the greater good. And Howard also says that he wants his child to be better than he was. When that happens, Tony is willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good, even though he doesn't want to because he has a child. But then in the final battle where I cried because I remember when he said these words, I'm Iron Man. And then he kills Thanos and his whole army, and that part is when Tony embraces the fact that he's the Iron Man. There's no more duality between the man and the suit. Captain America has the second main arc in the movie. What happens with Captain America is that he was always willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good, but he just wanted to go back and live his life with Peggy Carter. And that wish is granted when he's assigned to return the Infinity Stones where they were supposed to be. And when he finishes that mission, he decides that it was the right time to stop fighting and live his life. In the first movie, we see how Steve Rogers wanted to sacrifice himself and everybody told him to live his life, that it wasn't his duty to go to war and be the hero. And Steve wanted to prove that everybody was wrong, but not in a bad way. He wanted to prove it because he always felt useless and going to the war was his opportunity to be useful. And the movie ends with Captain America dancing with Peggy Carter, and when that happens, it means that his inner conflict ended. Now let's talk about the other original Avengers. First, we have Thor, that I'm not quite sure if his arc already ended, but well, we may see more of that in Thor, Love and Thunder. But in this movie, Thor is kind of like egocentric and lazy Thor, and I didn't like that because he evolved as a character in Infinity War. I love Infinity War Thor, but then we have this version of Thor in Endgame that it didn't feel as Thor. At least that was the message that was quite clear. I mean, Thor is really different from other versions, and well, let's see what the future holds for this character. Now let's go with the Hulk. So in this movie, the conflict between Bruce Banner and the Hulk ends, but that wasn't so interesting. I mean, I wanted more Hulk thing because I mean, in Ragnarok he had a very good arc, but then in Endgame his character was just to make some jokes and laugh a little. And I don't know, but I think Hulk deserves more. And I don't know if they're going to continue his character arc. Let's see what the future holds again for Hulk this time, because I didn't relate to Hulk as a character in this movie. Surprisingly, Black Widow and Hawkeye's arc were really good. I really liked their relationship come to an end in this movie, but I think it was useless to kill the character in this movie because we didn't know everything about Black Widow and her motivations, so killing her on this movie wasn't so impactful or meaningful as, for example, Iron Man's death that had a whole character arc since Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie. The rest of the movie is amazing, and I think it translates the comic book panels into the big screen in a way that felt personal for every fan, mostly with the ending of Iron Man and Captain America's journey in the MCU. It is not perfect, but it is an honest movie that makes the viewer feel empathy for every character in the film, and we as fans had to learn that part of the journey is the end.